Today, we are taking a look at the life and legacy of one of the Ozark region's most beloved voices, Marideth Sisco. She was more than just a singer or storyteller. She was a woman who dedicated her entire life to preserving the culture, music, and traditions of the Ozark Mountains. Through her songs, writings, and unforgettable storytelling, she touched thousands of lives across America. For decades, people admired her wisdom, her gentle personality, and the authentic way she represented rural American life. Many fans around the world also remember her from the critically acclaimed movie Winter's Bone, where her haunting voice introduced audiences to the soul of the Ozarks. Sadly, Marideth Sisco has now passed away at the age of 82. In today's video, we will look back at her early life, her musical journey, career struggles, personal passions, achievements, and finally the heartbreaking details surrounding her death. So stay with us until the end. Marideth Ann Sisco was born on June 15, 1943, in the state of Missouri, United States. She grew up surrounded by the natural beauty of the Ozark Mountains. Her childhood was deeply connected to traditional American folk culture, old-time music, and storytelling traditions that had been passed down for generations. From a very young age, Marideth showed a strong love for music. According to reports, she started singing when she was only around 3 years old. One of her relatives encouraged her musical talent and inspired her to continue developing her voice. However, her childhood was not always stable. Her family moved frequently from place to place, including different parts of Kansas, Washington, Montana, and California. Eventually, Marideth became tired of constantly moving around. She later returned to Missouri and stayed with her grandmother, where she found a stronger connection to her roots and the Ozark lifestyle that would later define her entire career. As a teenager, she attended school in Cassville, Missouri, and graduated during the early 1960s. Even at that young age, people around her noticed that she possessed a rare artistic spirit. She was deeply thoughtful, creative, and emotionally connected to music and storytelling. After high school, Marideth attended Missouri State University. She studied music performance and orchestration because she dreamed of becoming a professional musician. Unfortunately, things were not easy for women in the music industry during that era. According to interviews from later in her life, some people discouraged her from pursuing a serious career in music simply because she was a woman. She was reportedly advised to choose music education instead of performance because success opportunities for female performers were limited at the time. Even though those comments were painful, Marideth refused to completely abandon her dream. In the 1960s, she moved to California, hoping to establish herself in the music business. Like many struggling artists of that generation, she faced disappointment after disappointment. The music industry was highly competitive, and opportunities were difficult to find. To make matters worse, she suffered a serious hand injury that affected her ability to play guitar properly. That injury became one of the biggest setbacks of her life. For many people, such disappointments would have ended their artistic ambitions forever. But Marideth Sisco was different. Instead of giving up completely, she adapted and found new ways to express herself creatively. During the 1970s, Marideth returned to Missouri. Originally, she planned to move back to the West Coast someday, but life had different plans for her. Back in the Ozarks, she slowly rebuilt her life. She completed her education and earned additional academic qualifications, including a master's degree. At the same time, she became increasingly involved in journalism and writing. This new chapter of her life would become extremely important. Marideth eventually began working as a journalist for the West Plains Quill newspaper in Missouri. She worked there for around 20 years. Her writing focused heavily on environmental issues, local communities, and life in the Ozark region. Readers appreciated her honesty and intelligence. Unlike sensational reporters, Marideth wrote with empathy and humanity. She cared deeply about ordinary people and rural traditions that many Americans were beginning to forget. She also wrote a gardening column called Crosspatch, where she combined humor, wisdom, and personal experiences. Her articles became very popular among local readers. Over time, she developed a reputation as one of the most respected voices in the Ozarks. One thing that made Marideth Sisco truly unique was her gift for storytelling. She believed stories were essential to human culture. For her, storytelling was not just entertainment. It was a way to preserve history, emotion, and identity. Whether she was speaking on the radio, performing music, or writing articles, she always focused on authentic human experiences. Her calm voice and thoughtful personality made listeners feel deeply connected to her words. People who met her often described her as wise, humble, and incredibly genuine. After retiring from journalism, Marideth returned to music and storytelling more seriously. She hosted a radio program called These Ozark Hills on Ozarks Public Radio. The show focused on regional culture, folklore, music, and storytelling traditions. Listeners loved the program because it felt personal and authentic. At a time when modern media was becoming louder and faster, Marideth represented something peaceful and timeless. Her radio work helped preserve traditions that might otherwise have disappeared forever. One of the biggest turning points in Marideth Sisco's life came with the movie Winter's Bone. The film was released in 2010 and became critically acclaimed worldwide. The movie starred Jennifer Lawrence before she became one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Marideth contributed both musically and artistically to the project. Her haunting voice and traditional folk style perfectly matched the dark atmosphere of the film. In fact, one of the scenes in the movie was reportedly written specifically to feature her singing. Audiences across America suddenly became fascinated by the mysterious and emotional sound of Ozark folk music. Marideth's performance stood out because it felt completely real. She was not pretending to represent the Ozarks. She actually lived that culture. Following the success of the movie, she toured with fellow musicians and performed in multiple cities across the United States and Canada. Even later in life, she continued inspiring audiences with her performances. Over the years, Marideth Sisco received significant recognition for her contributions to folk culture and storytelling. She was honored by the Missouri Writers Hall of Fame and recognized as a master storyteller. Many people considered her a cultural treasure of the Ozarks. Unlike mainstream celebrities, Marideth never chased fame or luxury. Her focus remained on authenticity, art, and human connection. That humility made fans admire her even more. Marideth was known as a deeply thoughtful and compassionate person. She openly supported LGBTQ causes and believed strongly in equality and human dignity. Friends described her as intelligent, independent, and emotionally strong. Even though she experienced many disappointments during her life, she never became bitter. Instead, she transformed hardship into meaningful art. Her life demonstrated resilience and creativity. In her later years, Marideth continued sharing stories, writing, and performing music whenever possible. Even into her 80s, she remained connected to the artistic community of Missouri. Fans admired her dedication and energy. She also continued speaking about the importance of preserving human storytelling traditions in a rapidly changing technological world. For Marideth, stories were what made people human. Sadly, Marideth Sisco has now passed away at the age of 82. Reports about her death were published by local Missouri media outlets. At this time, detailed public information regarding her exact cause of death has not been officially confirmed. However, her passing has deeply saddened fans, musicians, writers, and members of the Ozark community. Many people online described her as one of the last authentic voices of traditional Ozark culture. Her death marks the end of an extraordinary artistic journey that lasted for decades. Even though Marideth Sisco is gone, her voice and stories will continue living on. Through her music, radio broadcasts, journalism, and storytelling, she preserved an important piece of American culture. Future generations will still be able to hear her songs, read her writings, and learn from her wisdom. In an age dominated by technology and artificial intelligence, Marideth reminded people of the importance of genuine human connection. That may ultimately become her greatest legacy. What are your favorite memories of Marideth Sisco and her work? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more celebrity life stories and cause of death videos. Thank you for watching.